Okay, today is Q&A, so I'll take some questions before I talk on the subject of pages.
I have some things.
Please identify yourselves first so we can...
Yeah, Linda Colvin. I have 3 questions related to my screen and desktop that's driving me bonkers. One of them is every time I download something, it's going into my upper right-hand corner. Another one is that windows now slide back and forth. Like I can't have Safari and Excel. I mean, if I open one, the mail goes sideways. And then I guess with Excel, when I try to get to the save screen, my button is below the bottom of the screen, and I've tried changing the display, but
Say the last one again.
when I'm in Excel and I go to save, and the save button where you say save or cancel, it's like below the screen, and I've tried changing the display and moving stuff around, and so
I don't have that problem here, so you'll be able to witness it.
those are 3 things that drive me bonkers.
Jim Korsica. Recently, when using Messenger, the responses to text messages show up above my response, above mine instead of below mine. They used to happen in a logical way. I'd send a text and the response would come out below it, and so on and so forth. Now, sometimes the response appears above the text I've sent out, and I don't know how to fix that. It makes it difficult to follow your conversation.
Marty, is that on your iPhone or on your Mac?
It seems to be on all of them, but I noticed it first on my iPhone.
Marty, we had a request from the Peanut Gallery. Can you make that a little larger?
Why not? Why can't you read it? That's a function of this.
Is there anybody who can't read that? I do have an ophthalmologist.
Oh, we have an
ophthalmologist. You got a lot of business here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of old people here.
So change display.
It looks uglier, right?
One ice turn down.
We're going to have to start meeting with all the...
I would think so. I can see it now.
I really like
It's
it.
still not clear.
Well, underneath.
It is larger. Oh, much.
Is that all right? So now we're going to have the problem because I can't see it.
Is that better?
Yeah, still listening.
And Linda, your problems were on the Mac?
Yeah, my laptop. But I'm still running Sierra.
We don't answer questions about Sierra anymore.
How do I find .me?
How do you find what?
Email that's coming in on the iCloud as a .me. For example, glenn@me.com, right? Something like
Okay.
that. I found it once and then I couldn't find it.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
How do you check the battery on a MacBook Pro? I think mine's going bad.
Anybody got questions I can answer? Any other questions? No. All right, let's deal with some of these. The email one is probably the easiest one, so let's do that one first. When you go to your mail, do you see your .me over here on the side? Can you see when it says inbox, does it show you your glenn@me.com?
No.
He's on his
It doesn't
phone.
show
It's
any-
on his phone.
Well, the phone is the same, right? You see all the email inboxes instead of just having one. If you don't, What it means is it's not listed under accounts. So on your phone, you'll have to add unless you have an iCloud account. Do you have an iCloud account? Oh, well, iCloud.me, .mac, all come in the same place. They just changed the name. So when I get email that says Marty Dorio at me.com or at iCloud.com, they all come into that same mailbox.
Okay, your system preferences under mail, is that correct?
System preferences under mail, right? But if you have an iCloud account showing, you'll have the me account there too. It's in the same mailbox. Am I being clear?
So,
Am I being clear or not yet?
I think so. I'll have to verify it.
All right, well, verify it. If you have trouble, call me.
Thank you.
Or before you leave.
Yeah. Before you leave, we can look at it.
Before you leave, sure. Yeah.
Please turn on your phone, so.
iCloud, no, that's $10 each. I've got cameras are watching you. .me and .mac. Like Jerry uses me and Mac interchangeably, right? That you use them. And I use only iCloud now because it gets too confusing. The Messenger one, I don't know the answer to. Let's see what happens. When you get if I send this message, it comes at the bottom. And of course, I sent it to myself, so it answers me here. Now, do I have a view that sorts in a certain way? How about view, sort conversations by time or manually? So Jim, is yours sorted manually instead of by time?
is that on my screen?
It's on your Mac it's view, and I think this overrides to here.
I didn't know you had. All right, I will check that when I get home.
I don't see a sort here.
Is there any kind of setting on an iPhone or iPad?
That's what I'm just looking for. I don't remember.
I looked and I couldn't find anything.
Let's see.
I'm assumed they were under messages.
I don't see a sort on your iPhone.
No.
On your iPad.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so, yeah.
But view, sort conversations.
Okay, I will check that out. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, I'm trying to post these things on the discussion group. So if you need to refer back to them or whatever, they're available under stations /by time. Okay, Linda. I don't know if that's the screen and desktop. Screen.
I mean, I did do an update, not to
Your downloads, you say, are in the upper right-hand corner. You mean they appear up here?
Yeah, they were always, when I download something or save something often, if I don't designate that it goes into some folder, it saves it in my upper right-hand corner of my screen. It didn't used to do that.
It used to save them down here, right? This is where mine now.
Well, sometimes it's sort of saved it anywhere. I
She
didn't know
talking
if
about
that's
Safari?
a preference thing.
Yes, I think.
Are you talking about a Safari or?
No, sometimes Safari, but sometimes even when I'm just saying, like I've been working on a Word document, and if I don't say that I want it saved in this folder, it pops over to my right hand. It seems like a preference or a view thing, and I fiddled, but
Sometimes it does that, shows you how it's in progress, the downloading. But after that goes away, you can go down there, your downloads down there.
Yeah, that's what I would
It's
say.
usually temporary.
Does it go away after a while?
No, I have to move it after it's finished. I did search like online and looked at help and,
Marty, if you're saving are you saving to the desktop?
Yes.
yeah,
Because when I save to the desktop, it always goes up to the top right hand of the screen.
Mine does as well.
Yeah.
because I don't think mine used to.
Oh, yes.
It always goes up to the top right, unless you got a lot of stuff there, it'll still fill in below.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's not, sometimes it'll go under your little messages there, which
So you
is
can't
annoying.
control it, it just, that's
It
the way
goes where it wants to go.
Oh, okay, not
The
an
answer
issue.
is it always saves
Okay, so it's,
to the upper right, saving to desktop.
That's assuming there's not other stuff up there.
okay.
That's, if there's other stuff up there, then it'll just fill in.
Okay, so I guess that's just to help you find it because it's always
Right.
there, okay. I didn't remember doing that before, but,
Yeah, I don't remember doing that either, but again, I can't say.
whenever I do any upgrades, things go completely.
No, your other problem is getting windows, getting two windows open side by side.
Right. And sometimes I can do it, and other times, all of a sudden, I can't figure out, and it seems like it doesn't matter what the application is.
And it used to be that if we take this and hold in the green dot, we could move it. And then this guy, this is not available as split view. That's interesting.
But I was thinking like two Excel spreadsheets where I want,
Oh,
or
yeah, you can't do that.
Safari, well, I used to be able to
Really?
have them both, or with Safari, like doing something, downloading something or copying it.
Only if you shrink the window. I mean, if you're in the same application, you have to shrink the windows. If they're different applications, you can do what Marty was showing you, which is the split screen view.
Split screen, how do you get to that?
You hold in the green dot,
Hold down.
hold in the green dot. You see the blue panel? That makes this guy go over here.
Oh. On whatever the application you're in.
And then I can open one of these guys. It says I can't do that, so I gotta open something other than that. Come on. How about if I open this guy? Here's the green dot. You hold the green dot.
Hold it down, okay.
Hold the green dot. Come on. I hate it when they don't.
Because sometimes I don't remember my 200 passwords, and so I might have that open, and then I want to use it when I'm in Safari.
I think it has to be minimized before you can.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Handle it. So, hit the green button, just minimize the screen.
Get the green dot.
No, the window takes it away.
Okay, so a little blue shadow shows up.
And it says no available windows.
Pages.
This is not available split screen. Well, anyway, I will try to figure out how this works and tell you.
Yeah, because it used to be, it's like the sliding glass door. I'm here, and then I try to open another one, it goes,
Yeah, well, what's happened now in their,
How do you get rid of this split screen?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
How to get rid of it?
Oh, you just go back again. Yeah, you just double click it, then it goes back. Do this guy, hold it, put it over here. Now I can get rid of it. I can either click and go back, or I can click on the thing and make it a whole screen. Right? Excel save button is too far below. That's a screen resolution problem. Like,
I mean, I've been fiddling with it.
yeah, but right now, what we're in now, I'll show you here, display, this is system preferences,
Uh-huh,
displays, right?
right,
And when you're in scaled,
Right.
which is where we are now,
yep,
it makes the screen too big for some of the displays. Because
Right.
the screen wants it to be regular.
Yeah.
You know? So if you leave it where I have it now, some of these things will go away like what we're doing now. I can't find, I won't be able to find some of the things at the bottom. Let me see if I can show you. See, this will scroll. My menu to the left is gone.
Right.
You see that it's gone? And my menu to the right, or to the top, is all of this stuff, right? But if I want to get to my menu to the left, without going back up here to the notebooking thing, I have to scroll down. And somebody asked me the other day about where do things show on our website on a phone? This is the same answer. On your phone, because there's a limited real estate, it only shows this piece of the screen, right? It shows these menus at the top in a little set of lines, and it shows the side menu, which is what all this is. This is our side menu, and it shows it at the bottom in a bunch of lines. So those of you who are looking on our website and you're looking for where the side menu is, scroll down to the bottom and you'll see 3 little lines, and then it opens to this display. This is what happens, and this is what happens on your, Linda, on yours, when you're looking for something that's supposed to be at the bottom. So you have to go fix the display.
Marty, when you're there, while you're there, it'll do the same thing on your iPad. If you have it in portrait view, if you have it in landscape view, you will be able to see the sidebar. So
you will or you won't?
if you have it in landscape view on your iPad, you'll see the sidebar. If you have it in portrait view on your iPad, you have to scroll down. So if you want to get if you want to get the notes for the classes, and you go to the website and you're in portrait view on your iPad and you want to put them in iBooks, you have to scroll down to get to that classes, notes, and so forth.
Trying to register on my iPhone.
So what Marilyn just said is this. In landscape view, she says I can go on the website. So in portrait view, or landscape view rather, our notes and things are over here. So you just click on notes and it goes. But if I do this,
It's still there.
Oh,
Well, it's
shows-
still landscape. You just turned it.
it's still in landscape, I just turned it.
You have to
You just
change
turned
the settings,
Change your
setting
setting.
to portrait.
To make it go away.
I don't understand the
I
comment.
think you have an iPad Pro, and that's different from the iPad.
Oh. So you mean if I do it on my phone, it won't do that?
You can't put it in landscape view on your phone. At least I couldn't put it on in my phone. Maybe on the newer phone.
I don't know, let's find out. We're very multifunctional here.
Sorry I asked these questions.
Well, what's important is
It's an important question, right?
yeah, when you get an email saying the notes are on the website and you want to download
Right.
them,
How do you
and
get
you need to find where the notes are. And you go to classes and you go to the notes and then go to the share icon and put it in iBooks and then it'll be right on your iPad.
Is yours older?
I can't.
This is doing what you thought yours would do. This is doing what you thought yours would do. When he
Oh, yeah,
turns
it goes away.
it cuts it out.
I
Even
can't do
though,
this because I don't have a reflector on here. All right, so Carl just duplicated what Marilyn just said. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll be able to see it.
Marty,
Yes, sir.
Getting back to the issue of the button disappearing off the screen, and I don't disagree with you. I've played with that, changing the resolution, but I also played with something else. At the same time is the feature for accessibility, because most of the time you're changing the display size so that you can get larger type the way you did here.
Right.
But there's another way to get larger type that may or may not cause the buttons to disappear, and that's under accessibility. If you show that, I think you can show a different.
So system preferences.
Yeah, and it's different for different devices, but basically the same.
Accessibility is somewhere, so let's look up here for accessibility. Keyboard. Your keyboard or something?
Do you see down the bottom left, it says show accessibility and status?
Show accessibility status. That's another $10, so that's 20 so far, right? So show accessibility on our toolbar. Do you think it's under keyboard? Accessibility keyboard, is that what you mean?
No, it's a screen display accessibility. It allows you to change the font sizes and the boldness of the characters. And
so here's, we're in system preferences, accessibility.
There you go. Right, there you go.
And what would you change?
You can change the font size to make it larger.
Which I don't see on here. Do you?
That's text form.
That's what I display preferences. Yeah. And this takes us back where we were.
I think
Change keyboards.
Go back to keyboard.
And accessibility, it's,
Do you think it's under keyboard? Yeah. Does anybody know, or we just accessibility keyboard?
That's what they're called.
Enable accessibility keyboard fade down.
Oh, that's.
Right, I'll have to do some research on this.
it's different on the iPad than it is on there.
Right, yeah, because in the iPad it says it's preferences, system, settings, accessibility.
Marty, on the iPhone,
That is a question.
on the iPhone 8, 10, you can put it in landscape view, but you still can't see the sidebar.
Okay. So on the iPhone 8, we still have to
10.
scroll down.
10.
On the 10,
Yeah.
you have to scroll down to the bottom to get the 3.
So I'm assuming all previous versions, it's the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a 6 and it worked from the 6 on. Scroll to the bottom, get the 3 lines, and that's where you find the Okay, how do you check the battery on a MacBook Pro? I would assume that's in system preferences. On all scales, type battery in the search thing, energy saver. Turn off display. Blah, blah, blah. And here's where it says battery is charged, right? If it weren't charged, it would not be there. I always check this little guy, show battery status in menu bar. It's still visible. Show battery status in menu bar.
I have an answer for the question.
Hold on a second, let me finish this. So we have one answer at a time. And then up here, if I had a regular screen, I would have a little battery that would be able to show me it's got 10% or 80% or whatever. So who asked the battery question?
I don't know the
Does
answer.
that help?
That's not the answer to the question.
Right. What was the
The question
question?
is, when the battery runs down fast, is there some app or is there anything in their system software that allows you to do a battery check to see how fast it'll discharge?
Oh,
Yes, there is.
go ahead.
Apple announced that on older phones, they were limiting the speed speed of the phone because the battery was not charging to its full amount.
We're talking about the
We're talking about now.
Time out. And so the same problem really exists for a MacBook Pro. So there is an app that you can download on your desktop. It's called Coconut Battery. And what you do is you plug your device, and after you've downloaded it, you plug your device into that. It will tell you everything about your battery, when you purchased it, how many times it's been charged, and whether it's charging to its full capacity. And it tells you whether or not the battery needs to be replaced.
So that's called Coconut Battery?
Coconut there.
Marty is probably on there.
Marty, you've got two battery apps. You got coconut battery and you got fruit battery or something.
Fruit
like
juice.
that.
Yeah, but you told me I didn't need it, so I don't know if I have. Hold on here. I have Coconut Battery right there. You're absolutely right. Let's see if it works.
It
Coconut Battery.
It'll work for PowerBooks and also for your iPhones. You can plug your iOS device into that app.
So there's all the data that you ever wanted to know about your battery.
All right, click on, there's one more thing to click on, battery. Go back to that and click on battery details.
Check on battery details. Battery details.
There you go. Gives
So
you
this has a good battery, temperature, charging, it's on power, it's on power. And the age is 1400. Load cycles means what? The number of cycles it's been through?
Yes.
Okay.
And the key thing here, if you go back to that, it'll show you that if your battery is not charging to 100%. If it can't charge to 100, go back to the screen. Do you see, oh, you don't have the latest version. The latest version will tell you that, let's say if your battery is 100% when it's new, it'll show you that as it goes through its cycle, it degrades, and the maximum that you can get, there it is there, the 98.2%. It's showing that the maximum you can get to is 98.2, even if the app on your device says it's at 100%, it's not really.
It's not really one.
Okay, so everybody have that Coconut Battery? Yes. Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah, thanks very much.
Marilyn?
The other option is, I was on the phone with Apple yesterday, and they can diagnose things, your battery over the phone. If you give them your serial number and all that kind of thing, and you.
Not necessarily correct, we had to do all that with my phone, and one said it was good and the other one said we had no problem. So just take it with a grain of salt.
Is it, Marty?
Don?
The gentleman's answer was better than mine, but there is another way. Go to the Apple, just about this Mac. Now go to system report. Battery is one of the items on there. It should say how many cycles and stuff, I think. I haven't checked it in a long time.
Probably power.
Power.
And you know, with these glasses, I can barely read, so it's not going to work me that way. So here's battery information, fully charged, that works too.
Generally, any of these apps are just gathering stuff that's already on your Mac, but sometimes it's not displayable.
We had a discussion group question, is it about the battery this morning. Does that person happen to be here? I guess not.
Okay, there was a couple other comments from, hands were raised. Anything else? Okay. Let's see, any other questions here? So, landscape view, email, battery. Any other questions came up before? We go talk about.
Well, I had another question, since I already asked one, I couldn't ask another one, but I may have to move out of my condo for mold remediation, and I'm concerned about access to a secure network. And at some point in one of these meetings, there was something said about Xfinity Wi-Fi, like when you look for your network preferences, some Wi-Fi preferences. I've never used it. I didn't know what the story is on that.
I don't know, I don't understand the question. You want to know about Xfinity
Is
Wi-Fi, or you want to know
it
where?
secure? I mean, I have Xfinity at home, and I've got, my own network that's secure, that you need a password. I'm always
Oh,
worried about generic,
It's not, it's like Starbucks, it's the same.
just like anything else. Okay.
Know that there is a way to get a secured website on your Xfinity. We were just to Xfinity for the second morning in a row.
And the answer is?
So I would talk to them, I would go in and talk to them about your particular situation.
Yeah,
But there is a way to get a secured site on Xfinity.
okay.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is use a VPN, right?
It's not the hotspot.
You know, and you can either subscribe to a VPN, or there are many others. Does anybody here use a VPN, virtual private network? What do you use?
Pure V.
Pure
VPN.
Pure
VPN.
VPN, and it works pretty well.
Seems to.
And how much does it cost?
Well, I bought a lifetime subscription. I think it was like $50.
Okay. Anybody else use a different VPN?
I do.
Remember which one? Opera has a VPN that's built in and it's free. So if you want to search, go to Opera, you can download the Opera browser and then use the VPN there. I can't attest to how good it is, but it is a VPN. VPN is virtual private network, which lets you
Right.
sort of
I've never used a virtual private network. Yeah.
VPN unlimited. And how much does that cost, you remember?
I bought it a few years ago. I don't call it its lifetime, but I don't.
Okay. Any other questions that we?
I'd just like to make a comment on using VPN. There is a risk when you do that. If, for example, you want to communicate with your bank, your banking account, and apps like that, they will all of a sudden, if you use VPN and if you change the IP of your iDevice, you will no longer be able to communicate in a secure way with your banks. They will reject you. Just want to
Okay, yeah, that's
understand that. So
particularly
if you do want to communicate with the bank, you have to get out of the VPN. And I think in most cases, I think on the iOS operating system, there's actually an option to stop the use of VPN. Just wanted to alert you to that.
Right, because that would be where I'd want secure communication, is to the banks. Okay.
The one I'm using is Encrypt 8.
Is what? Encrypt me?
Right.
Encrypt me. And you know how much that costs? You don't care if it gets.
Depends upon the hour of the day. I think I pay $1.99 a month, but I've been in it for years.
There was a question in the back there.
If you're out and about or wherever, and you don't want to use Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, or the Xfinity, if you use the hotspot on your phone to connect using that Wi-Fi connection, isn't that secure?
Yes,
Who answered that question?
I did.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I use my
A hotspot is secure.
I use that hotspot all the time.
I've used that when I've traveled abroad even, and knock on wood, so far so good.
ExpressVPN is $667 a month on a Europe plan.
If it's too cheap, or if it's free.
Did you say 667?
Right, that's on a year plan.
Okay, there was another hand, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi. About 6 weeks ago, I was recommended for
Tell me your name, sorry.
Mary Ann Mars.
Mary Ann, that's right.
I was recommended to stop using Chrome as a browser and to download Firefox. So I did a couple times, and each time after a couple of days, in my dock was a question mark. And so I couldn't get to Firefox. It's like it disappeared. And I eliminated it and I downloaded it again, and the same thing happened.
I don't know why that would happen. We have the various ones down here. Firefox needs to stay there. Do you click the little thing that says keep in options, keep in dock?
No.
No.
I'll try that.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough just to move it from your desktop to the dock.
Yeah, it is, but then you have to tell it to keep it there.
Okay, thank you.
Options, keep in dock.
Marty, can you just go back to the Verizon discussion for a second?
Sure.
There's another piece of information you need to know. If it's Verizon hotspot, Verizon throttles the speed of the hotspot, and what you get with it under their standard plan is a very slow speed. And if you want to have standard speed, you have to call them up and pay for the higher speed rate. Otherwise, it's garbage. You can't download anything other than just some text. And so that's a real problem, and then that can get very expensive.
You do not have that problem with AT&T.
Yeah, no, I use AT&T
They
and I've not
don't.
had.
They throttle too, right?
No.
AT&T does not throttle?
They don't slow down your speed until you use all of your monthly allotment, and then they will slow it down.
Yeah. But they tell you ahead of time.
Right. I didn't know that about Verizon.
Yeah, I found out the hard way.
My wife's
Joel Schuster. Just another question about VPN. If the banks are not able to allow you to connect, if you're on a virtual private network, I'm assuming it's the same for the brokerages, then what's the purpose of a VPN other than keeping my communications with Hillary Clinton secure?
I don't know the answer to that. Anyway.
So why are people using
Well,
VPN?
if you're using Wi-Fi in a public place, people can look into your device or your computer.
So basically, when you're on a network that's unsecure. If you're on a network that's unsecure, anything that you do can be intercepted. Now, the reality is, nobody's going to intercept my communications. I mean, I'm just an adult, you know, a normal person. But somebody might think I'm not, and then they get access to my email or my social security or whatever numbers somebody might ask me for. So you're always at that, you're always at a risk, you know. And then if some pervert can attack, you know, find out where I live and, you know, who my kids are, my grandkids and all that kind of stuff. So you're insecure. You give access to people if you're not on a secure network.
I don't exactly understand Eric's answer on a VPN. If you're in say a hotel, it's got a public Wi-Fi and you sign into your VPN, are you saying you can't use that to check into your bank? I didn't understand.
If I may say something about that, the VPN system I use, I think, obscures the IP, the original IP of my iDevice, and it creates, I think, a new IP. And I think my bank has a problem. They identify that iDevice. I have that iPhone with a certain IP, and if that IP no longer shows up, they just stop communicating with me because they want me to verify that I really am who I am.
Right.
And I think, and I'm not sure, but I probably can establish my position with the bank by going through the verification process. But, and I don't know, I'm not technically inclined enough to know whether all VPN systems actually impact your IP. If they do, I think then a lot of banks who are very security oriented will hesitate to continue the transaction with you if your IP has changed, which is registered.
So is that something you check with your bank?
No.
Do you talk to your bank?
I verify on my, they sent me some case. They say, for example, this is the first time we communicate with that device, and we have a few security questions.
Yes.
And then I have to answer those questions. I may not be able to answer them because I may be somewhere not at home, and I have my iPhone, and I don't have obviously listed all the answers to my security question on that same device that is affected by it. So I just wanted to alert you to the fact that I personally have had several problems communicating with my banking.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting more and more security conscious, right? Because if you change, like I use Bank of America or Citibank or what, if I change which browser I use, just the browser, not changing anything else about the network, I have to go through my security again. If I use my iPhone or my iPad instead of a Mac, or when I went from my Mac to my PC, I have to recertify all those devices all the time.
When everybody was talking about VPN, I realized that mine wasn't turned on, and I just turned it on. And then based on the conversation from Eckert, I went to Charles Schwab, Scottrade, and to Morgan Stanley. And I was able to get on all three of them while on VPN. So I guess it depended on the bank. What was that?
What about your bank? Because, when you're traveling, that's one of the most important.
Well, I use Morgan Stanley. Always the bank.
But Mary Ann raised another question. I'm not sure why somebody would tell you to do what they told you to do. Was there some problem with Chrome that they were concerned about? Or?
Well, I had a question about, moving my mouse and then the screen disappeared, like this little arrow appeared. And someone back here said, stop using Chrome.
Well,
I never had a problem with it, but then they said
Chrome,
use my
Chrome is one of the best. I mean, there are 3 or 4 top ones, right? And I would be very surprised if there's any issue with Chrome that you shouldn't use Chrome. I use Chrome all the time because Safari sometimes has trouble with what's it called, the Adobe thing? Flash. And Chrome has it built in, so there's no issues with Flash. Some displays don't display on Safari, where I go to Chrome and play and display. Some of the issues with Chrome, if you sign in, then you're allowing Google to look at where you are searching, and then they'll put it in your dossier for sending you stuff. So I went the other day and I looked for some power washer or something like that. And the next day in my emails on the little right-hand side there, I got a bunch of power washing things. So that's a trade-off that you make with Chrome. But if you use Firefox and you use a username for the Firefox, you get exactly the same thing. You get exactly the same thing. So I'd be surprised that anybody for real told you to not use Chrome. I think you can use Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Opera, Edge, the internet, Microsoft guys, all of those interchangeably without any difficulty. I'm not aware of any. Do you know anything a reason that you wouldn't use one or the other?
Marty, if I may,
go ahead.
I don't want to confuse anybody, and perhaps in my particular case, I've had this reaction from Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, because I do change when I use VPN. I do want to confuse the world around me, so the way I set up my VPN is that it does change the IP address of my iPhone. And I don't think that you have to do that. And if you don't, I think everything is probably okay. But the reason why I changed my IP also is I travel a lot, and I travel to Europe. And when I'm, let's say, in a European environment, I want to access certain television channels, for example. It's not possible with a European IP location. Conversely, when I'm here and I want to watch some European television channels with an American IP, and the access is denied. But I can, with VPN, change my location artificially. I can tell my iPhone right now that I'm in, let's say, in Düsseldorf. And all of a sudden, I have access to certain television shows that I would not have if I would not have changed my IP address. And because my usage is fairly sophisticated, that may have led the bank to ask all kinds of questions. So I believe the ordinary VPN user probably doesn't go to all these hoops that I do, and probably therefore has easy access to his or her bank account.
But the NSA travels, watches where you go and what you're doing, so.
Incidentally, I think I read somewhere, I think in our discussion group, a topic, significant locations. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Have some of you read that your iPhone keeps track of all of your moves, and it's on your iPhone. It's not shared with anyone apparently. But there was a very interesting story. Maybe Jack Wall alluded this to us. It is really, if you want to look up where you have been, and as long as you have your iPhone, you go into privacy, locations, turn on locations, go into location systems, and then you find a line significant locations. And when you click on that, I used my wife's phone yesterday, who traveled with me this past year through Turkey and Germany, and to our surprise, we found all kinds of locations that she'd been to, and she was amazed and concerned. And there's a way to stop that. You can click and stop that. But it's an interesting exercise, which I went through yesterday to find out where I've been this past year.
She was with you the whole time.
Real good. Doesn't tell you where you're going.
That's the next thing. That's the new one.
So he tells his man.
So that's really bad. What he just said is really true. Look at this.
Yeah. Other systems. But you have to look at that.
I have to do this. Very questionable. Hold on, I'll get you in a second. And I saw your hand up. So this is where he just said to go. Eckhart.
Privacy, and then you go to
privacy,
and then you go to.
And I went to location services, system services, and down here it says significant locations.
Yeah, click on it.
If I touch significant locations, it does ask me for my IDs. That's good. Here are all my significant locations, including television.
Yeah, don't show your wife that.
Well, she knows I was in Jerusalem. I was with her. Delray Beach, Bonita Springs.
And if you click on that, you will see a map where you were actually.
Really?
Oh.
So.
Yeah, they track you.
What the number, the name, the number.
Let's see, television. I'm at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Holy cow.
Well,
my wife doesn't know I was there. So. All right, I'm sorry, your question. You've been very patient. Go ahead.
Well, it brings up the topic of getting rid of something you really totally want to get rid of on your computer. For instance, in some cases...
I'm sorry, can you hold on, please?
You know, double requirements for passwords are needed. Okay, and I was trying to help someone get rid of, let's say, a Google account, a Google email account, and we weren't successful. We had to then just generate another Google email account. AOL, I feel, Google, as well as Facebook, make it very difficult sometimes to eliminate their services. Those are maybe 3 areas where I've encountered with different people. And I just wanted to mention that. Even people who are trying to eliminate, close their credit ratings, okay? They give you confirmation numbers, but different agencies acted differently when you were going through that process. If you were to eliminate all your cookies, okay, would they still be able to, say, keep you in their system in some way? Is it because of iCloud?
I don't know. Jerry, do you know the answer to that? I don't know the answer.
I don't either. So just.
I mean, the reality is you don't own your account, right? You don't own your account. So when you eliminate your Google account and you say, close my account, they close it, But all that stuff is still in there.
That's right, they own it.
And the new FCC rules, this Patriot Act thing that happened, requires the companies now to keep all those records when you make your phone calls or whatever. So I think that still applies also to our telecommunications.
And I just heard on the radio coming here today that Google now is going to employ 10,000 human people too to help them, like Facebook, to testify. So humans will be involved with the algorithms.
Marty?
As good as that is, right?
Yeah, right.
My neighbor here would like us to get to pages at some point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Q&A is the Q&A, and take the Q&A first. All right, let's do some things about pages, because we said that we're going to talk about pages. I love pages. All the notes that I've taken are on pages. And what I've done is sort of make some notes. Again, these will be posted on the website. But I use pages for almost everything. And how many people in here have used pages? Okay, pretty good. How many are still using Word?